So I want you to raise your hand right now if you love being controlled by somebody else. Anybody? No one? None of us like being controlled by other people. We like to do what we want to do when we want to do it. But the reality is every single one of us, we often allow something to control us. You may not have thought about it this way, but we all, at some point in our lives, allow our emotions to control us. So we've all had a good day where we had these good moods, good vibes going, and it was easier to treat people nicely, even the people that were annoying or bugging us. But have you ever had like a bad day where you just were in a bad mood, you had bad vibes going, and no matter what happened, you seem to always respond really poorly to other people? Maybe you even got in an argument with your parents and you got grounded because of something you said. Or maybe you were hanging out with a friend and you said something that you looked back later going, that doesn't even sound like me. You were just having a bad vibes kind of day. You see, all of us at some point, we have some emotion that is our go-to emotion, or an emotion that sort of cripples us, where it kind of takes over how we think, how we respond to other people. But we usually find ways to sort of monitor it, to keep it at bay. I mean, a lot of us at school would never ever slam the door in our teacher's face, but at home, maybe you're more likely to do that. You see, that's your way of monitoring, which is just another way of saying you kind of suppress your emotions, you stuff it until all of a sudden you explode. But is that really the best way to operate in life? To monitor our emotions? Or is there a way beyond just monitoring that actually could be helpful and healthy for us and others? Well, that's what we're going to talk about this week. So to help us with this question, we are going to be looking at the book of Mark. This is a book in the New Testament, which is talking about the life and teachings of Jesus. And Mark's goal was to help people to understand who Jesus was. He wanted to help show people that Jesus came for everybody, to confront evil and how it was taking hold of people's lives so that he could point them to God and that they could find freedom and being released from the evil and the control that it had over their lives. Now, in today's passage, Jesus confronts the religious leaders who are allowing these laws to control them. What's interesting is that there were these written down laws that God had called the people to follow, but some of the people, these especially religious leaders, began to sort of make up these extra laws, these more traditions that they would pass down, and a lot of people followed them. But as we're going to read, some people, they began to allow them to take hold of their lives, and they were focused on these outside external things rather than focusing on the heart. And Jesus challenges them with this. So let's read this together. We're going to be looking at Mark chapter 7 together. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating their food with unclean hands?" So they're challenging, why aren't these disciples following this tradition that we have been passing down for years and years and years? Listen how Jesus challenges them by quoting scripture from the Old Testament to sort of put them in their place. This is what he says. Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. As it is written, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teaching are merely human rules. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. But Jesus doesn't just end there. He goes on because he's trying to make a point to these religious leaders that it's not just from these outside external things that matter. It's from the heart. And he could see their heart. They weren't trying to point people to God. They were trying to control them. And that's not what God is about, because remember, the book of Mark was trying to help people to see Jesus came to set people free from evil and the hold that it had on them. So listen to what Jesus says. He says, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a man can make him unclean or defile him by going into him. Rather, it is what comes out of a man that makes him clean and unclean." And it continues on and it says, "For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come." Now, I don't think Jesus is saying that good hygiene is bad, nor do I think Jesus is saying you can do whatever you want, watch whatever you want, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's all fine. I know that we need to be careful with what we consume. But Jesus was trying to help these religious leaders that they needed to stop worrying about these external things and turn to the internal. You see, what we see in this passage is that Jesus teaches us that the source of our misdeeds, our actions, how we mistreat ourselves and other people is actually from within. It's actually these emotions that we're trying to monitor or control. In reality, we're allowing them to control us. I think this passage is helpful for us because we can see the danger of allowing our emotions to control us. The source of our actions, how we respond and treat other people, comes from inside. And if we allow those emotions to just do whatever they want, we're allowing them to control us. But we have hope because Jesus, he came to the earth and he died on a cross to set us free from our sin and our bondage, even from being controlled by our inner thoughts and emotions. So here's the bottom line. Because of Jesus, our emotions do not have to be the boss of us. Jesus is a way better boss than any of our negative emotions, and he can actually give us the strength to stand up to whatever emotion that we feel is controlling us. Now, this may sound a little silly, but I want you to imagine in your mind saying this: you're not the boss of me. Now, I know some of you may be cracking up going, Tara, what on earth are you doing? But seriously, try this again. In your mind, you don't have to say it out loud, just say, you're not the boss of me. Anger, you're not the boss of me. Even if I have the right to be angry, anger, you're not the boss of me. Jealousy, you're not the boss of me. Even if she has the grades that I want, even if he has the talent I want, you are not going to tell me how I treat them. Fear, you are not the boss of me. Even if I'm nervous, even if I'm worried about what people think of me, if I'm nervous about trying, nervous about failing, fear, you don't get to decide what I do next. Now, I know that may have felt silly or really unnatural. We actually live in a culture that doesn't always encourage us to talk about our emotions in a healthy way. We can be made to feel like we're weak or overly sensitive for talking about our emotions. But the truth is, it's good for us to learn how to name our emotions and to learn how to keep our emotions from controlling us. Because when our emotions control us, that's when we end up doing things that hurt ourselves and hurting other people. Now, it doesn't mean that our emotions are bad. In fact, God created us to feel, but we need to find a balance so that we're not just stuffing our emotions and ready to explode. And we need to find healthy ways to express what's going on in our lives. Now, all of this takes practice, so let's just start here. Let's first try to figure out what's the emotion that you seem to be controlled by the most. What's the one that no matter what you do, you just have a hard time working through? And the second thing is, try to check in with yourself. Every single day, at the end of the day, do a little mood check. What were the highs of your days? What were the lows? What seemed to trigger you or make you really upset or kind of get you stuck on an emotion? There's a reason why we're going to start here, because we're realizing that the emotions that we hold on to, they spill out and impact and affect other people around us and how we treat each other. And that's a big deal. We need to figure out why we're having these emotions. Why are we holding on to them? What's causing us to not move past them? We can't just stuff and ignore them because most of us know eventually they explode like a volcano. God actually created us to feel the good and the bad. We just need to know what to do next. And so today I want to leave you with a couple of verses that I think are encouraging for us to see God does not desire us to be controlled by our emotions, but to be set free and to find rest in him. So listen to these verses as we wrap up. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. How different would it be if we actually embraced this reality and stopped allowing our emotions, our vibes, our moods, our thoughts to control us? Our lives would be so different. I'm pretty sure we'd all be stoked together. But it's not that easy. So I want to encourage you, keep coming to youth group, keep talking, open up with someone about what emotions you're dealing with and struggling with. Let's do this together because we weren't meant to do it alone. We hope to see you guys at youth group this week as we continue the conversation. Bye, you guys.